Hello, please use this video to complete your notes on the different types of verbs. To start, I just want to point out a couple basics about verbs. One is that every sentence has to have two things, a subject and a verb. Without it, it's going to be a fragment. So in a non-question sentence, the verb comes after the subject. He walked away. Subject here is he, walked is the verb. If it was in a question, that order is both reversed and split. Did he walk away? So did and walk are verbs here. Or where did he walk? Same thing, did and walk. So in this case, with the question, you're going to have more than one verb, and it should come before, at least part of it, before the subject, which is still he. Verbs fall into three categories. One of those categories is action verbs, also known as main verbs. These are verbs that express physical or mental action, and they're traditionally the easiest to recognize because they are the doing type of verb. So he ran into the house. We can see that happening, so it's physical. Jay thought about the stream. This is something mental. It's something that's being done, so it's an action verb, but you can't actually see it being done. Here are some other examples. These are also the type of verb that you could consider infinite in its own way, in the sense that we add new verbs to the language all the time, such as to Google or to text. Text used to just be a noun, but now, of course, we text people all the time in the verb sense. So although it might not be infinite in the sense of we're constantly adding them all the time, we have the ability to do that as the language needs. Next up are helping verbs. Helping verbs are also known as auxiliary verbs, which an auxiliary means providing supplementary or additional information. So helping verbs only appear with action verbs. So there will never be a helping verb if there's not an action verb with it. You can actually have up to 3 helping verbs before the action verb, such as in, I could have asked for help, or I could have been asked for help. The action verb is asked, or the main verb is what we call it typically when it's paired with a helping verb, and could have been are the 3 helping verbs. The helping verb always comes before the action verb. So if you're looking at a sentence and you're not sure which one is which, the helping verb is first. Also, helping verbs as opposed to action verbs are finite, meaning we can't just make up new ones. There are only a couple, and I'll have them on the next slide. And so even though I don't recommend memorizing things, at least familiarizing yourself with these is very helpful. But more important is understanding what they do, because then you could find them even if you don't know that, for example, could is a helping verb. So what they do, they express tense, for one thing. So that would mean it would talk about if something happened in the past or the future, such as he was eating his dinner, or the present in this case. They also tell about possibility. And so that's the could, might, must, would in this case. He would eat his dinner. So it's talking about the likelihood of it happening. They can also be used for emphasis. I do know your uncle. So do is the helping verb, with know being the main verb. Here's a list of helping verbs. The ones to pay particular attention to are the be verbs. So be verbs being am, is, are, was, were, been. These can also be linking verbs. More on that later. But the key difference is going to be, is there an action verb immediately following it? If so, it's helping that action verb, and so it's a helping verb. Other helping verbs that are commonly used have, has, had, do, does, did, and then all of these possibility helping verbs. I left ought to on here, even though it's kind of antiquated. So we've actually somewhat gotten rid of a helping verb rather than like with the action verbs like Google, adding to them. Next up are linking verbs. Linking verbs show a relationship between the subject of the sentence and a noun or adjective being linked to it. So in the verbs that follow, the subject of the sentence is dog. My dog is a golden retriever. So is, here is the linking verb, and it's linking dog to golden retriever. Golden retriever is a noun. As opposed to, my dog is very funny. I'm sorry, very furry. He's also very funny. Dog is still the subject, and furry, in this case, is what's being linked to him, and that is an adjective because it's describing dog. So either way, the linking verb, the most common are also those ones that I just highlighted with the helping verbs. Am, is, are, was, were, being, and been. So you need to be on the lookout for those. Other common linking verbs include appear, become, feel, grow, look, remain, seem, smell, sound, say, stay, taste, and turn. All of these are potential linking verbs. So one way, if you're trying to check if something is a linking verb, is you can replace the verb with an equal sign. So if the sentence is the man is president, well, if we put an equal sign in there, then yes, the man does equal president. As opposed to, the dog ran over the rainbow, if we put an equal sign in there, dog equals over the rainbow, that doesn't necessarily make sense, and that's not the message of the sentence. We're not trying to say where he is located. Another check test is if you can replace the verb with the conjugated to be verb. So Lori appears tired, Lori is tired. And I say the conjugated to be verb because if this was they appear tired, I would have to say they are tired. So that's what I mean when I say conjugated. You can't just put is everywhere because it would sound awkward if I said, they is tired. That is not correct grammar, but it does indicate that it's a linking verb. Some verbs can be both, such as appear, feel, grow, etc. So, for example, the magician looked out the window. That is an action verb, because if I said the magician is out the window, it doesn't make sense. But if I said he looks exhausted after a long day, this is a linking verb, because I could say he is exhausted after a long day. Thank you, and please flip over your sheet to complete the practice on this video. Mark down any notes that you have in the margins or on the back.